made the update video and then decided to just slouch on the couch. Hi guys, this is Connie, and this is now an introduction to a new Connie Reads that I need to do in a timely manner because I think it's important and I need to finish something, but apparently I also need to start something. Connie Reads Journey with Grief. Navigating the First Year by Larry Warner. The back of the book is as follows. In this small but powerful book, spiritual director Larry Warner thoughtfully and sacrificially opens his soul, gently bringing the reader along on a journey through grief. Larry's own journey with grief began 15 years ago with the death of his 18-year-old son, and that journey continues today. His story is unique to him, but many of the emotions he suffered and the insights he gained are universal. Over time, Larry has walked with countless others who have suffered the loss of a loved one. He writes for the benefit of all who wish to live compassionately and faithfully in a world rife with pain. This book is divided into two sections, a helpful comfort for the grieving and a guide for those who choose to travel with them. Part 1 is an explicit, honest description of the abyss that is grief. This section helps to normalize the unprecedented, let's work on our diction, and unpredictable behaviors of grief, encouraging freedom and honesty in the processing of the pain and offering timely glimmers of hope. Part 2 is a straightforward manual for walking with someone through the abyss, simple, sensible and direct. The role of comforter is not to be taken on lightly. The journey is often long and difficult, but the ministry of presence is profoundly meaningful. This book is a product of raw life experience, written by a devoted disciple of Jesus. It gives people permission to grieve as they can and as they must, led by a vulnerable, trustworthy guide. The interspersed poems provide haunting details of grief and are a gift in themselves. The reader is compelled to reflect and stay in the moment. Larry Warner's faith informs death as truthfully as it directs life. Thanks be to God. And it's got Barefoot Publishing on it. Illumination Book Awards, shining a light of exemplary Christian books. Journey with Grief, Navigating the First Year by Larry Warner. This book is written in memory of my son, Nathan Joel Warner, whom I had the joy and at times the anguish of parenting for a little over 18 years. He was a headstrong individual with dogged determination and a unique way of seeing the world. He never ceased to astound me. I am grateful for the time I had with him, continue to miss him, and am still sad that I never had the opportunity to see and experience the man he would have one day become. This is copyrighted 2018 by Larry Warner. For a small book, there are a lot of chapters in the table of contents. We've got a preface, we've got 2 introductions, we got section 1, and there's 26 chapters on the first page. Section 2, for you who journey with others. There are 17 chapters, an epilogue, additional resources, a works cited page about the author, and acknowledgments. And I started to read the preface as well. Since we're only 4 minutes in, I think I will do that as well. Preface. You know what else helps? Being able to actually clearly read books and read words out loud. Preface, however you wish to. This book was birthed in the weeks and months following the death of my son, Nathan. He died October 31st, 2003 at age 18. As I was grieving my son's death, I began to write poetry to help me process my experience. I was encouraged by friends to consider weaving the poems into a book, but at a time when my loss was still painfully fresh, I was too raw, too vulnerable, A few years later, I posted some of the poems on my website, being.org, under the title My Journey with Grief, and have been thanked many times in subsequent years for my unedited honesty. Those emails from fellow grievers were and are wonderful gifts to me. Reminders that God can and does bring good out of the horrific circumstances of life. But a book on grief never occurred to me. In fact, the writing of this book at this time comes as a complete and utter surprise. I had been working on another project, reading and researching for over a year. I was finally getting to the writing stage when a poem about the 14th anniversary of my son's death welled up within me. I wrote it, The Doorbell Rings, see below, and posted it on Facebook. It was the process of writing that poem and feeling the desire, freedom, and willingness to post it on Facebook that God used to show me that the wounds of 14 years were continuing to heal, and that the 12-year-old invitation to write about grief was now being extended by God. I immediately shelved my research, retrieved my journals from 2003 to 2004, and changed my course. I write this book with the hope that it will give you permission to grieve freely, openly, and with unedited honesty. That it will provide valuable information to help you navigate the first year following the loss of your loved one. I pray it will assure you that you aren't crazy, that you are not alone, that there is a future and a hope for you, and finally, that it will provide a sorely needed resource for others who are invited to weep alongside you. Sadly, my wife and I continue to bear the lasting pain that was inflicted by well-meaning and misguided individuals seeking to bring comfort. Comforting a grieving person is a skill, and this book will help you learn how to do it. The first year following the loss of a loved one can be extremely difficult, and my prayer is that God will use this book to help you navigate through it with insight and understanding about your experience. Each grief journey is unique. If you are single, you are naturally more alone. While if you are married, the loss of a loved one, especially a child, can be a challenge to your marriage. In this first year, your pain at times will be unbearable, but God is with you. In the darkest hour, there is hope. You may not be able to hear it or believe it right now, but know this: I am believing it for you as I stand with you in your grief. Below is the poem God used to lead me to write this book. Poem titled The Doorbell Rings. 2 weeks of years have come and gone, yet the horrifying news of that night remains horrific, for time does not heal all wounds. Tonight I catch a glimpse of the sorrow in her eyes. She is thinking of him, missing him. I pause at his picture, sighing, feeling the pang within. Time once plodding, weighted down by our grief, has picked up speed. The anniversary of his death has arrived. There is no escaping it, for tonight, as in the preceding 13 years, the doorbell will ring, and ring, and ring. And each time we will open the door to costumed children with expectant faces, bags held in outstretched hands, reciting a sing-song chorus of trick or treat. We too wear a mask, a smiling face, hiding sad eyes as we dole out the treats. This yearly reminder of the horrific trick death played on us that Halloween, 2 weeks of years before. The doorbell rings. Walking to the door, we check our masks, knowing time does not heal all wounds. And after this will be 2 introductions. But I figured this would be a great intro to Connie Reads' Journey with Grief. Be careful with that and enjoy, please and thank you. And I will see you for the next installment. Have a great one.